We're gonna make some earrings out of these cute little glass rectangles with all the little blended colors in there. They're really cool. So doing 22 gauge non-tarnished silver is the best for this. I'm gonna take about a foot, and we're gonna put all our detail into these little rectangles, and then we're just gonna put these beads at the top as accents. So move those out of the way for now. These are drilled straight through, and this pattern will work for any kind of stone that's drilled straight through. You can do this on a much bigger stone if you like. I'm going to come to the middle of the wire, bring the two ends together, make sure I'm in the middle. Just bend it. Then I'm going to take my round nose and roll a little loop. Like so. A little loop. And then you can lock this loop in by just holding it like this and bending it, or twisting it rather, like 180. Boom, now it's locked in. And now it's not gonna fight its way out. And you could do a loop on this side too if you were gonna hang more stuff below, but this will be the bottom part of our earrings. So we're just gonna fold these up. So we'll fold that up, fold that down. And I always like to make a spiral somewhere at the bottom when I do this pattern. So wherever these connect, it doesn't have to be in the exact middle. It could be in a corner, because it's just going to be artistic and we're just going to enjoy it. So just start to fold them over each other and then just start wrapping them around each other a little bit at a time, one side then the next, and you get this really cool spiral. And from this spiral you can do anything. You can separate the strands, you can have them do their own thing, you can bring the strands together like this. I'm going to bring them together, and basically I'm just going to twizzle them up to the top. I'm pressing with my fingernail and pressing down to hold it in its spot, and I'm bending it backwards like that. This wire is not that soft, so it's making these sharp corners, which is fine. I'll have it a little diagonal today. Normally, you see how that's like a sharp corner right there? Normally when you have softer wire, it makes nicer curves, but that's okay. This is some of this older. At one point, they're making all this silver like really hard, and it was getting irritating. Everybody's complaining, and then they started making it soft again, and I have no idea why. But you might come across some silver that's hard and some that's soft, and if you get the soft stuff, that's what you want more than the other. But back and forth like that, and you can go back and forth as many times as you want, and then you make your way back up to this loop at the top and wrap it around the loop like that. You can wrap it around a couple times and stack it up if your loop is bigger, but my loop is nice and tiny. So I'm just wrapping it around once, coming back to the back, and then carefully coming in with my cutters, just cutting it, cutting two little tabs, just enough that I can tuck them in, pinch them towards the middle, and then push them down into the wrap that was made there. And then I double check, make sure they're not scratching, not sticking out at all. Make sure they're tucked in good. Straighten that out. You can kind of move this a little bit if it's not where you want. You can mold it sometimes a little bit afterwards. So that's fun. And then focus, camera, don't be afraid. Camera doesn't like to show silver on black. It always makes it all glowy. It's weird. But there you have it. Now we're just going to take, and you could do any accent beads, or if you want, you could just put the hook right there and be done with it. That will be your earring. But I like to see what kind of accent beads I can pair with it that are like not exactly the same color, but close. And so I'm going to use 20 for this. You could even use 18 if it fits your beads. And I'm only going to take about, this is the simplest thing ever. But if you're brand new to jewelry making, then this is good to know. I'm just stacking these on, and I'm just going to make a loop on each side. When you make your loop, you want to bend the wire backwards first. You want to take about a ½ inch, maybe a little bit less than a ½ inch, and bend it back on a right angle. And then you want to bend it, take your round nose pliers, move them about 1/3 of the way up, hold it right on the end, and roll it backwards from the way you just bent it. And then reposition, roll it. You don't want to try to do the whole thing in one shot and twist your wrist the weird way, because if you do that repetitively, you can cause inflammation in your wrist. Be very gentle with your wrists. They have to last a lifetime. Always feel like the movement is strong and the muscles are good. Don't ever feel like you're putting yourself in a weird position. If you are, stop and reposition. But see how bending it backwards and then bending it forward again, you get this nice little, the camera will focus. You get this nice little loop that's just formed just right, and then you can tighten it a little bit more with your flat nose. Try not to slip. Try to get really tight in there. And now you slide your beads up tight against your loop, and you make your second loop against the beads. You make your right angle against the beads to get it nice and tight. And then you cut off the same amount that you used for the first loop. Try to get good at eyeballing it. Actually, just do a bunch and you'll get used to it. And again, roll it backwards. And this time I kind of repositioned several times to get my loop just right. And I'll be a stickler for this. Man, this camera is so annoying. So I will, if it's too much, I'll go back and cut it again and re-loop it. I'll just cut off a millimeter if I have to. That little piece is hanging there. Oh, what happened there? And then I'll go back, and if I need to, I'll pull it back out and re-roll it again just to get it tight. But if you do that too much, you're going to run out of wire, and then you're going to have to do the whole thing over, and that's fine too. If you're tough on yourself making these little loops really neat in the beginning, it'll become second nature after time, and you won't even think about it. But don't go too crazy, because at the end of the day, nobody's looking at the loops. They just need to be secure and closed. Everyone's looking at the beads. And then you can attach these by just opening the loop, or you can put a jump ring. If you open the loop like that and just attach it like that, first of all, make sure it's closed really well. Secondly, you're going to want to turn this a quarter turn now. You're going to want to hold it like this and turn it a quarter turn so that when you put the hook on, this will be facing out. Otherwise, this will be facing that way when it's in the ear. So always be aware of, you always want your earrings to face out from the ear. And every time you put a different link or jump ring, it'll turn your piece a quarter turn one way or the other. So just be aware of that. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. Put the jump ring on and we're done. You can try to make the second one with the same pattern going the opposite way. Sometimes that's hard. Sometimes I just make them go in the same way, and it doesn't really, nobody really notices. I'm just going to show you one more time. To make that quarter turn, you really would want to do it while you're holding the stack of beads by itself. You just hold each side and just turn it like that, so that one side is facing that way while the other side is facing that way. And that's not on every pair of earrings. That's just if the way you attach them with the right number of attachments. If you can tell which way it's going to hang. Okay.